So therefore the first training is given to become austere, tolerate, how to tolerate, how to call other woman as mother. He's learning from the beginning, a small child. He's trained up to call any woman, even of his own age, not sister, mother. This is the training. Matrivat paradareshu. This is education. Matrivat paradareshu. Chanakya Pandit, the great politician, has given the definition of a learned scholar. Who is learned scholar? He has given the definition. What is this? Matrivat paradareshu. To see every woman except his wife as mother. This is education. This is education, perfection of education, when you can see all women except your wife as mother. This is education. Matrivat paradareshu, paradarbeshu lostrava. And others' property just like garbage in the street. Then nobody is interested in the garbage you throw. And that is education. And atavat sarvabhuteshu, and thinking all living entities as your own self. If you feel pains and pleasure by something, you could not afflict the pains to others. If your throat is cut, if your head is cut, you feel so much pain, how you can cut the head of another animal? This is education. Samas sarveshu bhuteshu. This is education. Three things. This is the test of education. Matrivat paradareshu, paradarbeshu lostravat, atavat sarvabhuteshu, japasyati sa pandita. Where is that pandit? There is no such thing now.
Hare Krishna. After hearing from His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, it gives me immense pleasure on behalf of the Ministry of Education to welcome all the delegates. My name is Tapan Mishra Das and I do the service as an Executive Director for the Ministry. And please accept my humble obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. We'll try during this conference that after every session, we like to hear from Srila Prabhupada and specifically on the topic of education. So, I like to begin the conference by inviting His Grace Sesa Prabhu, the GBC Minister for Education, to come forward and formally inaugurate the international part of the conference by giving us a keynote address.
Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome you all for coming. Yesterday we had a session that was focused on India, and we had many devotees from around India, very qualified devotees, and they came and presented such a wonderful presentation of what's going on in education here in India. So for those devotees who came back today, welcome again. And then today we start the international focus. And I inquired from the registration how many countries are represented or will be represented in these 2 days of focus on international. They told me devotees from 18 countries around the world will be here. And I think that's a pretty good start for first such conference like this that we're having here in Sridham Mayapur. So I'd like to welcome all those devotees, and I imagine that they'll fill in a little bit as we go through the morning. Now, yesterday was also significant in another way, and I'd like to just thank Tapan Mishra Prabhu. I think he did a wonderful job in taking us through our agenda and getting us to the point where we have some projects, we have the potential and projects for developing education in India, and in India as an example around the world. So let's give Tapa Mishra a big Haribol. He's worked really hard putting this thing together, and so we do want to recognize that. As far as what I'm supposed to do up here today, they say a keynote address. And if that's true, what I want to do is take advantage of that a little bit and not speak about a specific educational program. We have many wonderful presentations coming throughout the day about that, but I want to speak about the value of education in general, particularly as it results to the service of managing the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, or on the GBC level. How does what you do and your services every day in education, how does that have an impact on the running of an international organization like ISKCON? Succession. ISKCON leadership has a problem. It's not specific to ISKCON, it's a problem for any organization, and that's succession. How to ensure that what has been accomplished is handed down to the next generation without a loss and with increase. That's succession, and it's a problem that ISKCON has been dealing with for many years, as we realized when we looked around the table at the GBC meeting that all the graying hairs, the crippled walks were starting to appear during the break times. So how does education impact a succession? Well, the first thing that education offers is an educated populace. If we look at ISKCON today and what we're attempting to pass to the next generation, it is a massive, worldwide, financially, spiritually, vibrant organization. There's nothing small about ISKCON. There's nothing limited about the influence that ISKCON can have. You may note that today in New Delhi, the Prime Minister of India is inaugurating the largest Bhagavad Gita in the world that's a product of the South European BBT and Madhusevita Prabhu. They have the Prime Minister of India, one of the most prominent countries in the world, interacting with ISKCON devotees. In the Manor a few years ago in Bhaktivedanta Manor, the Prime Minister of England came to the Manor and interacted with the devotees. And so this is a vibrant, powerful organization. And to hand it to the next generation, I can see why there may be some hesitancy. But if we look at the influence that education has, and we can produce some of the results that education has the potential to deliver, then succession becomes an easier problem to deal with. So first, educated devotees. Someone mentioned during one of our sessions yesterday about algebra and how they never used algebra. Well, I'm not sure that that's quite accurate, because algebra, like many other academic disciplines, shapes the mind, develops the mind in certain ways, gives one certain reasoning abilities. And if we take those into account, then that's exactly what we need when we're talking about dealing with an organization like ISKCON. We need the analytical skills, the reasoning abilities that education brings. Now, I'm not advocating any particular type of education, whether it's a Gurukula education or a regular school or a mundane university. If they give the reasoning skills necessary, then they can be accepted. Has anybody here heard of the St. James schools? Let's see, a few of you. St. James schools. They teach Sanskrit in St. James school. It's not, I'm not sure whether it's a religious school or not. They call it St. James, but it is a religious school. It's not a Vedic school by any means. It's a Western educational endeavor. But they teach Sanskrit because it has certain properties to be able to shape the mind, develop the mind in certain ways. No. That's the propaganda. A mix of Western and Vedic. But the point is that the ideas about developing the mind and making the mind available to be able to handle the concepts necessary to run an organization like ISKCON. When Srila Prabhupada was passing away from this world, he met with one of his disciples, His Holiness Giriraj Swami, and he put the question of succession right on the table. He said to him, after I'm gone, how will this movement continue? And so Giriraj Maharaj said, well, Prabhupada, if we chant 16 rounds every day, follow the regular principles, be faithful to your instructions, that's how the movement will be successful. That's how the succession from you to the current management of ISKCON will be successful. But Prabhupada said, yes, but with organization and intelligence, that's how this movement will survive. That's how it will go on. With organization and intelligence. Now, you have to train the mind to get to think in organized ways. That's the use of intelligence. To take the faculties that you have and utilize them in such ways that you can get positive results and run an organization. It's not something for amateurs, the ISKCON today. And so, with organization and intelligence being propagated by our educational system, then we feel a little bit more comfortable about that scary topic of succession. There's an illustration in the life of Narada Muni of this. You know the story, I'm sure, about Narada Muni met a Brahmana and a cobbler on his way to Vaikuntha. And both the Brahmana and the cobbler asked Narada Muni, when you go there, ask Lord Narayan when I'll get my salvation, when I'll be liberated. So Narada Muni said, no problem, I'll do that. So he went there and he put the question to Lord Narayan before he left. And Lord Narayan said, for the Brahmin, I don't know when he's coming here. It may take many, many births for him. But for the cobbler, in his next birth he'll come to me. So Narada was a little confused. How is that? He said. Lord Narayan told him, well, you just tell them what I was doing here, that I was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. Okay, so he went back, he met the Brahmana. Lord Narayan said, you won't be liberated for many, many lifetimes. What? Many lifetimes? Doesn't he see I'm doing my pujas, my japa, everything? Why many lifetimes? You must be mistaken. You must not have seen Lord Narayan. I don't believe you. If you saw him, what was he doing? Well, Narada Muni told him he was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. Impossible. You're bogus, get out. So then Narada Muni met the cobbler. What was my Lord doing? What did he say about my salvation? You, this very lifetime, you'll come back to me. And what was my Lord doing? He was passing the elephant through the eye of a needle. Oh, how wonderful is my Lord. So Narada Muni was a little surprised. He said to him, well, how can you believe that? Then he gave the example of organization and intelligence. He said that, well, I can understand quite easily because I'm sitting under this banyan tree and many fruits are falling, and each of those fruits has so many seeds, and they're very, very tiny seeds, but inside each seed is the potential for a giant tree just like this. So he could understand analytically how, not sentimentally, but analytically, how the Lord can do anything. He used his intelligence to understand, not just sentiment, but intelligence. So, organization and intelligence. If we have an educated populace in ISKCON, and again, not one particular type of education, but an educated populace where people are use their brains, use their God-given brains and talents to understand Krishna, to serve Krishna, then it makes succession not such a frightful thing. And this gets to our second point about Shastric knowledge. We have been given a gift of Shastric knowledge by Srila Prabhupada. And if we are going to pass it down the tree, that ripe mango from one person to another down the tree, we have to do it very carefully with Shastric knowledge that encourages realization and not rote memory. Courses have to be designed, and I think they are being designed, to draw out realizations. Because in a dynamic organization like ISKCON, you always find a different situation, a different problem. And if you're not prepared to apply in a very effective way your realizations to the problem, then we can drift from Shastra as a base for our actions. So an educated society that plans and makes succession real relies on realization, not rote remembrance. Now we want, as Prabhupada said, independently thoughtful men. Independently thoughtful men. Not independent of what Prabhupada said, but independently thoughtful based on their understanding of the Shastra. Yesterday there was so many devotees here that are involved with the values education here in India. It's a wonderful opportunity, but it's also a danger. So I want to offer some caution here. Values education can easily go down the slope from Krishna consciousness to mundane morality. And so we have to be very, very careful about that. Actually, I'm involved in a project called the Gita Values in America, and I'd like to share that with the devotees here in India, do a little networking here, so that that becomes available to you as well. But it has to be done with caution because we can lose ISKCON completely if we're not careful with the slippery slope of similar but different educational, religious and Shastric-oriented societies. And so finally, nourishing our purity and determination. If we're to meet the adversities that we anticipate in this material world, we have to do it with Shastra. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, his first favorable feeling toward Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to teach him Vedanta, because he was afraid that how will such a young beautiful sannyasi be able to maintain his vows. So therefore he wanted to teach him. Of course, we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not need the instruction of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But let's take the point and not forget it, that by cultivating knowledge, by leading a life built around the Shastra, we get our purity and we get our determination to meet the adversities that affect a spiritual movement that's so potently spreading Krishna consciousness around the world. So all the programs that you're doing, each and every one of you, contribute to educated society and make succession a reality. If we have a society based on these things, then we can be assured and feel confident that the message will be handed down intact and not in a broken way. So just some thoughts on the value of education to problems like succession, which aren't necessarily your problems, but are problems of the society, and they can be met in this way. Now we have another portion of what we're going to present here, which is our gift to you, educators. It's the website of the Ministry of Education. Okay, here it is. You want to go through it?
This is your inauguration. Prabhu, can you make it full screen? Yes. Scroll down.
We've waited for many years for this website. And I think it'll be well worth the wait. Let me just point out a couple of features that we have will be found. Okay, please.
Thank you. So, thank you so much, Sesa Prabhu, for your keynote address. We wanted Sesa Prabhu to also inaugurate the website and present this as a gift to the educators. And as much as I would like all of you to keep time, we are going to keep time as well. So we just have about 10 minutes to run through this. What we're going to share with you is just an illustration of the various features that are available for educators. And we encourage you to take, at your own leisure, you can go through the various activities that can be conducted through this platform. I'll request Prabhu to please scroll down. Just use the mouse. Slowly scroll down. Further down. Scroll down. The home page, of course, gives a biography, short biography of Divine Grace, followed by the various institutions. Go down, please. Educators who've registered with us. They appear on the front page. Go down further. It gives access to our journal, which is available to everyone. Go down further. And if anybody would like to subscribe to our journal, you can put in your email address here, and you will be registered. If you go down further, it gives you the sitemap, it gives you how to get in touch with us. I'd like to now go one by one through all the tabs about us. Srila Prabhupada. We can connect a hotspot.
We're still registering people here out today
right.
for the website. So if you haven't been registered, visit the booth out here and get registered so you can be on the website with your project and your profile.
So while they're still bringing up the website, I'll use this time to explain. This website is meant to create a platform that will allow the educators to do several things. Right at the top of the website, you'll see certain important tabs. It starts with About Us, which starts with Srila Prabhupada. It will give you the vision and mission of the ministry. After that, it gives you some details about the team members who are directly involved in the ministry as the executive committee. It also gives you the details of the regional representatives. These are the teams or devotees appointed in different parts of the world. We have appointed close to 8-9 devotees now. There are 4 in India, 3 in North America, 1 in Bangladesh, 1 in Russia, whose report you saw yesterday. We have Lalita Sakhi Mataji, if you may kindly stand. If you can please stand up. Stand up, yes. She's from China, and she's the regional representative for China. We have our regional representatives from India here present as well. Giriraj Sakha Prabhu, Tarini Radha Mataji, and Prannath Prabhu. If you can kindly stand up for a few seconds. For Eastern India, for Western India and Southern India, Northern India, Sri Hari Prabhu had to unfortunately travel out. We also have today here with us one of our North American regional representatives, His Grace Balimardan Prabhu, if you can kindly stand up. And then there's Prabhu Gandharva Prabhu from Latin America, who's not present with us. The idea is that we're going to expand this network. And Tirtha Pavana Prabhu from Russia, whose report you saw yesterday. So if you click on About Us, yes, we'll not go inside, but I explain. Then there is the most important board of examiners. Is Atul Krishna Prabhu here? Okay, he's not present. Any other members of board of examiners here present? Yadunandan Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. So board of examiners, their complete presence will also be coordinated through the Ministry of Education website. Their activities, the standards, etc., which are currently being worked upon, will be available to all the educators. If you want to know how to establish your Bhakti Shastri Institute, Bhakti Vaibhav Institute, all that information will be available for you around the world. And it's going to be pretty easy. And our office will facilitate that for you so that your applications can be processed if you want to establish such institutes anywhere in the world, provided you fulfill the criteria that are put forward by the Board of Examiners. I'll go to the next section, which is journal. We will not go inside this. Maybe you click on it, Prabhu, and see if the internet works. Okay. So the journal gives you, as I shared yesterday briefly, every quarter, under the guidance of His Holiness Hanupat Prashekha Maharaj, who is our editor, Maharaj. Maharaj has painstakingly, for the last 6 quarters, produced this journal. And Her Grace, Indira Sakhi Devi, my wife, my Dharampatni, so it's a bit odd to Her Grace, but Her Grace, if you kindly stand up. She's serving as the assistant editor as well. If you please go up, and if you go to the journal, and if you go to 2018, in 2018, if you go to the Janmashtami edition, here, this is the one in middle, yes, here, Prabhu. VIPLAVAH, August 2018. If you kindly go down and open it, you'll see here in this journal, every year we're going to do one journal which is going to be of highest academic standards. You'll have contribution from various educators, academic educators as well. And if you go down, scroll down further, please. Radhika Raman Prabhu published an article. Go down further. Each journal has a section on Srila Prabhupada's focus on a particular aspect of education. Radhika Raman Prabhu, Bhadrarupa Prabhu, Garuda Prabhu, they all publish their articles in our journal, which will produce one academic journal every year. So all these journals are available for the educators to access. I like to go back to the website again. After the journal section, you will see a section which is called the educator section. In the educator section, you will see 3 tabs. This educator section shall become your database to be able to find out about the educators in ISKCON. It is your database to find out what educational institutes are running in ISKCON. And it is your database to find out what are the various educational programs, be it a Bhakti Shastri program, be it a Sunday school that is being run around. Can you please click on individuals? And please go down further. Every devotee, if you go up a little bit, please, Prabhu. Every devotee has the ability to upload their profiles. We'll not click on it. But we're requesting all of you, educators, to please take 5 minutes today on your mobile phone or on your computers to register your profile on it. Once you register a profile, if you go down, if you can please go down. Go down, yes. If you click on one of them, it should give the details. Would you please do a search? So you will be able to search based upon the criteria that you want to apply for a certain type of educators. And if you go down, that's right. If you go down, it will give you details. These are the educators who have already registered with us. The idea is that within this year, 2019, we like to have at least 90% of all our educators and educational institutes that are running within ISKCON to be available for everyone in the database. So that is accessible to anybody who is registered with us. There is different kind of registration. One is a general login. Even if you're not an educator, you're a parent, you're a congregation member, you can simply have a username and password and access all of this data. Then the next section is a library. For this, as it opens up, I must pay my gratitude to His Grace Kartamasa Prabhu, his mother, Nataka Chandrika Mataji, and his father, Radha Damodar Prabhu. For years, in the 70s and 80s, when information was being published at the time, under the inspiration of Srila Prabhupada, books were being produced, data was being created, documents, curriculums were being created. This family archived a lot of that. They scanned and digitally scanned and kept that. This idea of the library is a library for all of us, where we can archive our curriculums, our resources. I'll not use the word curriculum, I'll use the word resources. Our resources for everyone. If you look at this, if you go down, please. It will allow you to search according to various categories, and please go down. We currently have thousands of resources in the form of audios, documents, some scanned books, etc. Sorry? Oh, yes, indeed.
Didn't you also give a lot of materials for this, Amila Das?
To Kartamasa Prabhu? Excellent. Thank you so much, Ramgiridhari Prabhu, for that. So, this library, we have started with some resources that we were able to procure. But my request is that all of you, please give your resources to be shared with the worldwide organization of ISKCON. It can be adult education courses in the resources in terms of curriculums you're developing, it can be books you're writing, and so on and so forth. So in the interest of time, I'll very quickly run through. There is discussions. Those who are registered, educators who are registered with us, have the ability to actually start private discussions. These discussions are meant for the projects that you undertake. You can collaborate with all the other educators which are present on our platform to be able to work with them, to be able to discuss your projects, how to take them forward. So if we are working, let's say, on a university for ISKCON, you can publish that we are working on this and you can invite devotees. And we will link it to our front page. When anybody wants to carry out a certain activity, a banner shall pop up. We are looking for resources, so on and so forth. So this is a discussion forum that we have. The next is events. The events calendar allows you to be able to put any educational event or program that you are conducting. So all the visitors to this website will have the ability to see on a calendar, just like we gave you here. One, for example, the calendar will show the name of the event. And when you click on that event, it will give you the details of who's organizing it, which place, what time, and if there are any criteria for doing so. And you can submit all of that into the events calendar. It will allow the devotees to be able to visualize if they're in a particular city, If they travel to a particular city, what must I do for the next 1 week? Is there something I can engage myself in? But please remember, we have created a platform. But how useful that platform is going to be, how updated that platform is going to be, and how relevant that platform is going to depend on all of you.
This is a tremendous asset, and we encourage all of you to use it, to register, to work on this master calendar idea with the events. It can revolutionize
Indeed.
services for the devotees around the world. So please utilize it.
And last but not the least is volunteers. When I use the word volunteer on this website, it is going to list the projects that the ministry is trying to support. And these are your projects also. If there's a certain project that you want the ministry to support you with, you have to give us the proper brief. May I request the organizers to please try and see if the sound there can be reduced? Yes, thank you. You can send us your project brief that, okay, we want to establish a Sunday school. We are looking for help in establishing a Sunday school. We will publish under the volunteer section. If you go there now, for example, we put it some sections. We need devotees as editors to assist Maharaj for our journal development. So that's a project. When you click on that, it will give you details of that. Then our own platform. We've created a platform, but it needs to be kept up to date. Then there is the Sunday school curriculum. Urmila Mataji is here. She will talk about it today. Some other devotees are also working. Yesterday we had a team. Then there is standards development. Champaklata Mataji could not come here, but our team in North America, I like to call out the names of Vishwambar Prabhu, Gopi Gita Mataji, and Balimardhan Prabhu. Under their direction, they're trying to work on standards for schools in ISKCON. Then we are going to introduce to you today, very shortly, the trainings that we are undertaking for the educators within ISKCON. So all of that requires your support. You will always see in the volunteer section. Now, to keep time, I'm going to stop speaking. It's 10:15, and our next speaker comes in 5 minutes. So if just one word or two, and then we close this session.
You have no idea how long we've waited to get this website up and running. People that worked on the executive committee of the Ministry of Education for some time, Yadunandan Swami and others, will think back years ago when we talked about the idea, and to be able to stand here today and see it done and available is just tremendous sense of fulfillment to serve Srila Prabhupada and the Ministry of Education, which was the first. Oh, and dear Saki Devi Dasi, she's the one that took the project and brought it up and made it happen. And so we want to thank her very much for her work in that regard. Again, it's our gift to you, so utilize it, tell others about it, work with it, have your discussions on it, post your events there, post your profile there most importantly, because people can go there and then they can start networking with you. And once that starts happening, the sky's the limit in terms of what we can accomplish by working together. So thank you very much, and we'll go on with other presentations. Hare Krishna.